Hello everyone, I am Bazo the Mad, and this is King's Quest 3. Gwydion is a lonely lad of 17 who has lived for as long as he can remember with an evil and cruel wizard by the name of Manannan. Gwydion gazes upon the countryside of Lowender with longing, wishing he were free to leave, but alas, such is not the case. Manannan treats the poor boy like his slave, ordering him about, constantly threatening him, and refusing to ever let him leave the premises. Often, Gwydion wonders who he really is and how he came to live with the old wizard, but Manannan offers no help in that area. Suddenly, the front door opens and out stalks Manannan the wizard. "Gwydion!" he shouts harshly. Oh, Gwydion rushes to his side, afraid he may be in trouble. "Why are you not working, boy?" the wizard sneers. Gwydion mumbles a faint reply. "The kitchen floor is filthy," Manannan grumbles. "Go sweep it, now!" Turning on his heel, the wizard re-enters the house, slamming the door behind him. Such is the story of young Gwydion's life to this point. What's a poor boy to do? Oh well. In resignation, Gwydion obediently follows Manannan into the house. This is the main entry room of the wizard's house. The front doors to the south, creaky stairs go upstairs, and doorways lead north and east. Now, this was the very first computer game we had when I was a kid. And we didn't realize that you could do the chores. This is where Manannan eats his meals. You, of course, are not supposed to eat here. You eat in the kitchen. There is a pine table and benches large enough to seat at least 10 people, but the wizard has never had any guests for dinner. And if you don't do your chores, you get punished. Because Manannan is, a jerk. So let's go sit in the kitchen for a second. We'll save the game because this is a Sierra game. Save early, save often. And let's go ahead and see what's going to happen to us if we don't do these chores. "Gwydion, you were assigned a chore. You know what happens to lazy boys." Manannan shakes his head in disgust. "The kitchen is still dirty. When will you learn to obey?" Up goes the dreaded finger. "Perhaps you'd like a closer view of the ground, Gwydion," says Manannan. Suddenly, you feel squishy and slimy, with an awful weight on your back. Your tentacle eyes swivel around to see your shell. Oh no, he's turned you into a snail. And so, yeah, for the next few minutes, you'll be a snail. He can do a couple other different punishments, like he can make you do workouts, and I remember one where he like hangs you from the kitchen, but that seems to be random. Though it always seems like the first chore that he makes you do is clean the kitchen. All right, so now let's properly clean the kitchen so we can avoid that. Which, surprise, surprise, you do by going over by the broom and spelling clean properly this time. Tell it to clean the kitchen. There we go. The left side, at least, is nice and clean. I realized I didn't look at this room yet, have I? This is the kitchen of the wizard's house. Other than your own bedchamber, this is the only place in the house that you feel you can call your own. The wizard rarely enters the kitchen. On cold days, the fireplace is a cozy place to sit. There's an iron rack hanging on the wall by the fireplace. Your trusty knife is hanging upon the rack. Your wooden serving spoon is hanging on the rack. I swear I'm literate. You take the carving knife from the iron rack and keep it with you. You take the wooden spoon from the iron rack and keep it with you. The kitchen shelf holds many ingredients and kitchen implements for cooking. One useful item that catches your eye is the clay bowl you use for all of your mixing. You retrieve the clay bowl from the kitchen shelf and take it with you. You use the heavy oak table when you prepare food for the wizard. Right now there is a loaf of bread, some fruit, and a mutton chop on the table. Now, one thing that's actually pretty neat about this is once you take something and it's in your inventory, you can look at it and you'll get an actual picture of it. The clay bowl has been your favorite bowl for years. The knife is big enough and sharp enough to carve a large roast. This is a wooden kitchen spoon. This is a leftover mutton chop that the old wizard hasn't finished. It still looks appetizing, though. You love the smell of freshly baked bread. The fruit consists of an apple and some grapes. They look sweet, fresh, and juicy. You pick up the little tin cup and carry it with you. This is just a simple metal cup with a handle. Now, since this is a Sierra game, I'm going to go around and I'm going to be taking most everything I can, since you play Sierra games by being a klepto in the very beginning. You scrutinize the moose head very carefully, but you see it is nothing but an old head. You do feel sorry for the poor thing, though. Now, that moose head's in most early Sierra games. I don't remember when they stopped putting a moose head in games, but it's a bit of like an Easter egg. Mananan appears older than old. His long white beard straggles thinly past his waist. His skin resembles old parchment paper, and his hands are gnarled and twisted. But don't be fooled. The old wizard is smart and powerful, and his magic is formidable. Now, the beginning part of the story for this is in the manual because it's an old game, which means that it didn't have very much room for it inside of the game. But the story goes that Mananan kidnaps boys and he uses them as servants. And then the very first one that he did tried to kill him when he turned 18. And so when boy becomes 18, Mananan kills him. Which is why it's important that you're 17 and you need to do unto Mananan before Mananan does unto you. This is your own pitiful bedchamber. Compared to Mananan's fine room, yours is almost a cell. The bed is hard and uncomfortable with only a threadbare blanket and a small flat pillow. The other furnishings are junk, but it's as poor as it is. It's your own haven, as the wizard never enters it. You have always admired this lovely tapestry. It adds one of the few bright spots to this dreary house. There's a bit of a Easter egg with this tapestry. I think it's look behind. You lift the bottom of the tapestry and peer behind it. The wall is filled with cracks. You can see why Mananan would hang a tapestry here. There are also dozens of charcoal scribbled drawings, diagrams, maps, and notes to programmers with a legend King's Quest 4. But you're uninterested in this since you presently have your hands full with King's Quest 3. You lower the tapestry and smooth out the wrinkles. This hallway is on the second level of the old wizard's house. There are two stairways here. One goes up and the other leads down. An open doorway is to the north. Now, Manannan's a bit of a creep. He just likes to come in and stare at you. You see Manannan spying on the poor citizens of Loender. He grunts, clicks his tongue, and mutters to himself. He is spying so intensely he hasn't noticed you. Tisk, tisk, what a shame. They seemed so obedient at first. You have entered the musty tower of the old wizard's house. A polished brass telescope is directed out a window. From here, Manannan spies upon the poor occupants of Loender. Gwydion, I have decided to take a journey. So now we're going to have 25 minutes before he comes back. You pick up the dead fly and drop it into your hand. Disgustedly, you look at it. I don't want to carry around a dead fly, you think. Plucking off its wings, you throw the rest away. The fly wings are remarkably beautiful for having come from such a disagreeable insect. Now these are kind of a trap. Like I said, you play Sierra games by going around and stealing everything you can. But if we pull up our inventory, you'll see that there's an asterisk next to the fly wings. That means that they are an item to be used in a spell. And it is important not to have any spell ingredients, because if Manannan finds you with them, then, well, that's going to be game over. Once again, in the manual, it mentions how the first run that tried to attack him was using magic, and so Manannan has decided that if he catches any of his slaves trying to do magic, then, get rid of him. Yeah, he's a jerk, not an idiot. The despicable cat slips away from your grasp with a fierce scratch to your arm. Nimbly, you grab the nasty cat by the scruff of its neck, avoiding its needle-sharp claws. Now that you have it, what are you going to do with it? Rage! You manage to pluck some fur before he viciously scratches and leaps from your arms. With grim satisfaction, you survey your wounds. Stupid cat, you scoff. Whether you know it or not, you just helped me. The detestable cat leaps from your arms, snarling and screeching. That detestable pet of Manannan's is a constant annoyance. It'll also kill you sometimes. It'll sit on a dangerous staircase, and if you hit it, then you'll trip and, fall to your death. You look at Manannan's elegant bedchamber. You see fine furnishings, from a regal bed to a beautifully carved closet. You can't help but compare this handsome room to your own meager cubicle. In the vanity drawer are many uninteresting items, although the wizard's hand mirror may come in handy. You grab it and close the drawer. The closet is fashioned of ornately carved mahogany. You see voluptuous velvet robes, satin slippers, peaked hats, and soft linen gowns. You're startled to discover an ancient parchment scroll. Its ink has faded, but it seems to be a map. Taking this treasure, you leave everything else exactly as it was. You find baubles and trinkets which do not interest you. Suddenly your eye falls on something that does, a vial labeled rose petal essence, which you eagerly take. You hold a small ball of black cat fur in your hand. The mirror is set in a round oak frame with a long handle. You peer into it and see your rather dirty but handsome face. The little vial of rose petal essence has a delicate sweet aroma. And stairs are always such a pain in Sierra games. You open the front door of the house and go outside. The lone mountain rises from the forest of Loender to this cloud-encircled peak. Here is the somber house of Mananan, where you and he reside. Gotcha. You managed to catch a chicken, but what are you going to do with it? Taking the chicken firmly under one arm, you gently pluck a small feather, then let it go. Save early, save often. Now, this was my first experience with rage quitting a video game as a child. It took me so many tries to get down this stupid path. The winding path spirals steeply down the mountainside. It leads from the wizard's house at the top to the forests of Lewender below. Oh, there we go. Thanks for playing King's Quest 3. Next time, be more careful. I notice how you're walking behind the rock. That's what makes this a 3D animated adventure, which, you know, for the 80s was a very fancy thing to happen. No, only one death. I've gotten a lot better at this since I was 6. A low mountain rises sharply from the forest floor, its jagged peak encircled by dark clouds. A treacherous path winds its way up the steep mountainside. You and the wizard Mananan live at the top of this peak. You see a majestic eagle. The chicken feather is small and light, no more than a piece of fluff. The eagle's tail feather makes you wonder what it would be like to soar among the clouds. The soft, loamy soil of the forest here gives way to the sands of the great desert stretching off to the west. Now this will get us moving faster, but I don't think it affects the timer. So we'll have a bit more time. The most hideous looking being has made its appearance. It's Medusa. Averting your eyes, you aim the wizard's hand mirror at Medusa's face. A scream pierces the air as she beholds her own hideous reflection. Then, nothing. You dare to look, Medusa has turned herself to stone. Even as a statue, Medusa is indescribably ugly. You find yourself at the edge of a great desert, stretching as far as the eye can see to the west. And that's going to be the same for all of these desert things. The parched sands of the desert seem to reach forever westward. You retrieve the dried snake skin from the hot desert and sand. It is delicate and could easily crumble. The dry, thin snake skin is extremely fragile. Yeah. The beautiful trees of the forest to the east grow sparse as they reach the edge of the great desert to the west. You do notice one particularly large oak tree. What a fine oak, you think. You pick and poke among the fallen acorns, looking for dried ones. You eventually find 3 dried acorns and take them with you. The 3 acorns are dried and brittle. The many beautiful trees bring a sense of peace to this forest. This is the comfortable home of the 3 bears. A well-tended flower garden grows out front. You rap lightly on the door of the charming house. No reply. You knock again, louder. Again, there's no response. Perhaps no one is home. You're in the charming home of the 3 bears. Mama Bear certainly does keep her house nice and cozy. You're in the bear family's cozy bedroom. You see 3 beds and a chest of drawers. You open the drawers, and among the clothes you see a pretty silver thimble. You pick up the thimble and carry it with you. Holding the silver thimble beneath the dew-filled flower, you gently tip the flower so its dew runs into the thimble. You move from flower to flower, repeating the process until your thimble is brimming with dew. The many beautiful trees bring a sense of peace to this forest. You see an impassable mountain to the south. Now I need them to serve some porridge there. You're standing atop a bluff overlooking the ocean and see a village to the north. The soft grass of the forest has been replaced by the coarse grass of the seashore. The trees here are stunted and twisted by the strong ocean winds. You search among the hanging mistletoe until you find a sprig that is dried. You break it off and carry it with you. You have entered a quaint seaside town. Smoke curls lazily from the houses and shops overlooking the ocean. A pier stretches out into the bay. Near the pier, you notice a store and a tavern. The store is full of general merchandise and supplies to meet the needs of the village. A friendly storekeeper bustles busily behind the counter.
Good day to you, young man,
Greets the storekeeper.
What can I do for you?
As you pet him, Kenny licks your hand and thumps his tail in appreciation. A small wad of dog fur collects in your hand and you tuck it into your pocket for later use. The wad of dog hair is dirty white and brown. The dew sparkles within the little silver thimble. Bottles of rum and wine sit atop shelves behind the bar. Two surly-looking characters are drinking ale at the table. Looking closer, you see that they are the bandits from the forest. One of the surly-looking characters yells to the barmaid,
Wench, come here with more ale.
A beautiful stream ripples through these stately trees. A stream flows by a huge, dark cave. The magic map's faded ink has brightened, but only in those places where you have been. Make sure we're on normal speed, because we got to go up this stupid path again. You made it up without a single death. Now we've got some time, so we should be okay for this. Mananan is very private with his study and doesn't like you poking around. The huge oak desk is covered with his writing implements. An oak cabinet is in the corner. There is a chart on the rear wall. The bookshelves are filled with books on every subject. The wizard fancies himself to be quite a scholar. Try to turn the handle, but unfortunately the door is locked. Yeah, that's why I told you to unlock it. Oh, did I not grab the key? I didn't grab the key. Well, crap, we might not be able to do our magic yet. You run a hand along the top of the closet. Suddenly you touch something metallic. Grabbing it, you discover a small brass key. What could it unlock? Well, gee, I wonder, what could it unlock? You unlock the oaken cabinet using the brass key. Inside, you find the wizard's magic wand. You take it with you, knowing it could mean death if he finds it missing. After closing the door, you carefully relock it. You push the large book aside, revealing a metal lever attached to the back of the bookshelf. A trapdoor opens, revealing steep stone steps leading into darkness. Now, these are the stairs. You have to be careful if the cat's on it, because the cat will kill you on these stairs. Stairs are one of the most deadly places to be in a Sierra game. You look in awe around this torch-lit underground room. It appears to be a laboratory. A wizard's laboratory. Amongst the earthen walls are rows of shelves which hold numerous jars which contain strange, unknown ingredients. The shelves also hold skeletons of small animals and birds, some human skulls and bones, and other odd instruments whose use you do not know. Against the earth wall is a massive oak table with a spacious worktop. The narrow stone steps lead up to the wizard's study. You curiously gaze at the strange jars of ingredients, the animal and human bones, and other odd implements which line the rows of shelves. You see jars of ingredients resting on labeled shelves, shelves bearing such ghastly names as powdered fish bone, nightshade juice, mandrake root powder, saffron, toad spittle, and toadstool powder. Okay, so we're going to need you remove the jar labeled powdered fishbone from the laboratory shelf and carry it with you. Let's look at the wand. Magic wand is cool and smooth to the touch and creamy white in color. You think it may be fashioned from ivory. Doesn't look interesting. Let's see what else we need is... You remove the jar labeled saffron from the laboratory shelf and carry it with you. That should be it. So you ready to do some magic? This, of course, is a copy protection thing. You gotta pull it out of the manual and type this nonsense in like exactly. So we want the first one to be turned to page. With trembling hands, you turn the pages of the sorcery of old and prepare to follow its instructions precisely. You know you must work with the utmost care. Every step is critical. Each must be done in the proper way, in the proper sequence. You tremble in anticipation. All right, so we're on page 2. You place the small, downy chicken feather in your clay mixing bowl. You put the tuft of dog hair in the clay bowl. You put the dried snake skin in the clay bowl. You pour a spoonful of fishbone powder into the clay bowl. You pour the thimbleful of dew into the clay bowl. You knead the ingredients in the clay bowl with your hands. It turns into a stiff dough-like substance. You grasp the doughy mixture in the bowl and divide it into 2 pieces. You very gently place the 2 pieces of dough in your ears and pull your hair down over them. You prepare to recite the magical incantation.
Feather of fowl and bone of fish molded together in this dish. Give me wisdom to understand creatures of air, sea, and land.
You wave the magic wand over your dough-filled airs. Successfully completing the spell, you again look at the wizard's laboratory. Now, let's see what happens if we mess that up. A strange feeling comes over you. You wonder if you could have made a mistake. Yep, and you get giant ears. You're all ears now, Gwydion. Thanks for playing King's Quest 3. And now we're going to with trembling hands, you turn the pages. Yeah. So this one, you carefully sprinkle the precious saffron into the vial of rose petal essence. O winged spirit, set me free of earthly bindings just like thee. In this essence behold the might to grant the precious gift of flight. You wave the magic wand over the pile of rose petal essence. Successfully completing the spell, you begin to look at the wizard's laboratory. A strange feeling comes over you. You wonder if you could have made a mistake, and it turns you into the fly. Oh, Gwydion, what big eyes you have. Now, unfortunately, we don't have what we need for the spell to get rid of the wizard. So that's just going to have to wait a little minute. You're on a flight of steep underground stone steps. They curve downward toward a dim light. The open trap door is above you. Now, if the wizard comes home and any of the stuff is out of place, yeah, game over. The trapdoor groans shut, disappearing into the floorboards. You move the big book back where you found it, so it again conceals the metal lever. You don't want the old wizard to grow suspicious of your activities. You unlock the oaken cabinet. You carefully replace the magic wand exactly as you found it. After closing the door, you carefully relock it. And now we have to get rid of all this magical paraphernalia that we've got that we could get in trouble with. So we go and hide it under our bed. You get on your hands and knees and quickly shove all your possessions under the bed. They will be safe from the wizard's sharp eyes there. And that is where we're going to leave it for today. I hope you've enjoyed and, like, subscribe, whatever. See you next time.